Mr. Werfel, I know we kind of went over some of this stuff earlier this morning, but can you explain again how the leverage ratio may discourage banks from providing liquidity to the Treasury market, in particular, kind of in times of stress?
Sure. So the Treasury market requires intermediaries to function well because it's not an exchange-traded market. So the capacity of intermediaries to carry out that activity is very important. The leverage ratio was designed as a backstop to guard against risks, but today it serves as, in some cases, the first line of defense, and it constrains banks from intermediating, especially in times of stress. What we would say is that having a targeted adjustment to the SLR as well as the Tier 1 leverage ratio could help boost capacity in those times of stress, so you're not bumping up against the leverage ratio. This can be done, if the policy objective is to support Treasury market liquidity, it would help with that. It can also be done in a way that continues to have a safe and sound banking system.
And as U.S. debt issuance continues to grow, do you believe that the current leverage ratio framework is adequately supporting kind of the health and resilience of the Treasury market?
So as some of the panelists have noted, the size of the Treasury market has really outpaced the growth in intermediation capacity dramatically. And so that trajectory of the government market is important, first of all, to have a sustainable fiscal trajectory. That's important, but also to support intermediation in that growing marketplace. And I think that that's why making these sort of targeted adjustment and looking at the things that constrain capacity on intermediaries is quite important.
As someone who represents a district that's heavy in manufacturing, specifically light manufacturing, and with the tariffs, if I go back to 2020, it was kind of a line of manufacturers kind of at my door saying, if there's any way we can get an exemption, that would be wonderful, right? And that's kind of, that whole discussion has begun again. But Mr. Jersey, let me ask you kind of on a bigger scale, would getting our fiscal house in order, I know we've talked a lot about the national debt right now, as well as growing the economy, which there was a couple references to President Clinton and, what was the magic back then that got us back to a balanced budget. How do you think that those changes could help reassure investors that treasuries are a safe haven asset, really, of the entire world?
Thanks very much for the question. It really is just having sound fiscal house, number one, and number two, ensuring a lot of these regulations are enacted so people know that they can transact easily, and that will certainly help investors not only abroad but also here in the United States be comfortable holding Treasury securities in both the long and short term. We have to remember, a lot of people adjust their interest rate exposure using Treasury securities. So let's say that you own corporate bonds on one side. You might hedge that by selling a Treasury or selling a Treasury future or paying in an interest rate swap. All of those things are true, and so our corporate bond market actually works better because we have a liquid, sound, safe Treasury market. So by enhancing liquidity in the Treasury market, you're not only enhancing liquidity for the government, but enhancing liquidity for businesses in the United States as well.